Compassion Works for All is a nonprofit organization in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we actually began about 17 or 18 years ago, just really as individuals who were offering some support and guidance to folks that were in prison. We began writing to and supporting some of the men who were on death row in Arkansas, and little by little, I and some of our friends that were primarily based through the Ecumenical Buddhist Society here in Arkansas grew to know many of the people on death row. As some of those individuals faced their executions, we talked a lot about offering some guidance and support about the issues of death and dying. And then we got a little more publicity through what we were doing and received letters from those in prison, not just in the United States, but around the world, to facilitate answering those letters. I wrote one response in hopes that many people would receive the answers that they wanted, and lo and behold, all of the folks that had written their initial letters responded saying that they would like us to please continue sending such a letter that addressed their issues and gave them some support. And that began our Dharma Friends newsletter and what turned into our Dharma Friends Prison Outreach Project. Through the years, now for 13 years, we've sent a monthly newsletter to people in prison, and also now to people who were family and friends and individuals who wanted to share in what became a very strong and compassionate community of people learning and growing through each other's guidance and caring. Over all of these years, it's been quite a remarkable thing for me to receive letter after letter after letter from those in prison saying that apart from our humble little community of Dharma friends, they had no one else. During their time in prison, their family and friends had fallen away. Some have spent 15, 20 years in the hole without a visitor, without ever having anybody to touch them or give them a hug, or to really have a meaningful conversation with them. It was out of these concerns and these deeply felt communications that I was impacted, as were many others who've been volunteering with our projects, of the enormous brokenness of our criminal justice system. We, because of our background in mental health and psychotherapy and brain studies, we revisit the issues of crime and violence and criminal justice, not from an antiquated position of moral judgment about people's actions, but from that position of appreciating that every being everywhere is born with a true sacred essence, and that for every being, given the right and loving circumstances, there is a great likelihood that they will manifest their gifts and find their reason that they are here amongst our world community. Unfortunately, we know well that that's not always was the case. Even in our best families and those who have all the benefits, some children and some people later in life deviate greatly from a path of offering their best and greatest gifts and end up instead causing great harm and suffering to others. Now, we definitely see a correlation with those children who are almost born on a super slide from their cradle to prison bars. They have every handicap imaginable. Some of those handicaps are physiological, some are a matter of brain chemistry, some are a matter of genetics, some are a matter of their mother's addictions or their parents' cruelty or sexual abuse or poverty or prejudice. There are issues that face some children that make it most remarkable that they survive and become wonderful people, giving great and beautiful things to everybody else. And unfortunately for those children coming from such challenging circumstances, that's a rarity. When we look at the statistics of what happens to children that have so many obstacles, the numbers put the vast majority of those children behind prison bars and in the criminal justice system by the time they're teenagers, especially the boys. What we do at Compassion Works for All is offer healing and support in a community to those who are in prison to help them find who they truly are and grow and integrate them with the community of people who have found their way to our programs, who want to know their oneness with all people, their sense of more likeness with people, no matter how they live their lives behind prison bars. We can all teach and learn from each other. But many of those people that are in prisons, who are convicted of violent crimes, who have been terribly, terribly wounded in their lives, may never leave prison, may never be in the free world again, and yet still we believe, we know that they still have gifts to give, they still have something of value within them, and we want to honor and enable their gifts to be shared. Many of us can learn from what these people have had to deal with in their lives. We can learn and understand and grow compassion for the suffering that they had. Each of these people were born as tiny babies who were likely to some degree loved, and something went terribly wrong. So our focus at Compassion Works for All is number one, healing and support through our Dharma Friends newsletter and through our justusfriends.org page on the internet, where we offer a lot of the same vehicles for healing and support as we do in the newsletter. But the other focus we have is to educate and explore and encourage the dialogue between all of those who are in various aspects of professional fields that are trying to gain understanding of what goes wrong in people's lives. Why are they violent? Why do they commit crimes? And why do we as a society not make resources available equally, equitably